Sex education. How many of you remember the old time salt and pepper song? Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. I'm approaching the subject today, especially the issue of mastering masturbation, from a perspective that I haven't seen or heard about before. And this is because I'm not here to preach at you or talk at you. I'm here to talk with you, especially share my experiences. Everything I'm going to be talking about are things that I've gone through myself. So I'm not here posing as holier than thou, but I really want to help us to be the best that we can. I want to put this in proper perspective because this video I'm doing today, even though I'm recording it right now in autumn of 2016, I actually wrote the scripts for this video many years ago. And how did I do it? Because for each time I was going through the experiences you're going to hear me share today, I kept documenting what I was going through, how my feelings were, what I was thinking about, and I really wanted a way out. I wanted God to really help me understand what was going on. And even after I got out, I've talked to a couple people, counseled people, interviewed people on this subject, masturbation, even pornography, and sex as a whole. I like to talk about sex many times. And really, I think everyone is going to benefit from this, whether you personally encounter masturbation or personally deal with pornography, or you personally want to learn more about sex, or you plan to get married, or you're married already, or you have kids, or your kids are teenagers, or your son a school teacher, or you're a school teacher, or you have people around that you get a mentor or help. Wherever you are, I think you're really going to benefit from this. And even if you're single, I really want you to listen to what I have to share, because it's a deep truth. Now, the first thing I want to say to us all about sex is that sex is deep. No matter how we try to trivialize it in our society today and make it look like something that's very common, it is deep. It means a lot to those who engage in it. It means a lot to our society, and it means a lot to God. We just can't take that away. And secondly, of all the compositions of what makes up sex, I think our physique and our appearance is down the table. It's not even top of the list, really. So sex is really beyond something physical. It is that deep, but I can't go into details of that now because in this video, I really want to focus on masturbation and probably pornography. Like for me, I had some good reasons. There was nothing anyone was going to tell me about masturbation that made it look bad to me, because for me, I think at the time, masturbation was one of the best things that happened to me growing up as a Christian. That was my opinion, really. And I had great reasons, because I could enjoy this thing called sex without really engaging in the sex. And I could have sex with anybody I wanted to have sex with, without going through the whole torture of trying to woo them and talk to them, and not go through the, wow, I thought you were a Christian, I thought you were born again, so you really want to have sex with me? So you're really bad like this? I thought you were lifting up holy hands in church, now you're thinking about sex with me? That could really dampen the heart of a lot of Christians. And for me, I didn't have to go through all of that, because I really didn't need your consent to have sex with you. All I needed to do was take a look at you, get back to the privacy of my bedroom, and take care of business. And that's just the truth. So for me, it was kind of like good, and then come out and see how my good holy face with everyone and still do what I had to do, no one knowing that I was engaging. Because really, for a lot of us church folks, sex, fornication, or adultery, like we call it, seem to be the biggest sin of them all. But I could easily maintain my good boy face and still kind of like enjoy the same thing that everyone didn't want us to enjoy. So it was the best kept secret, actually, for a growing Christian boy like me at the time. And that was a good argument. And I could get up between God and I, and ask God for forgiveness and believe that He's forgiven me, and tell myself that I was never going to go back to it again, and really mean it from the depth of my heart, and really mean it. I meant it like 5,000 times. I was never going to go back to it again. But kind of like 2 days later or 3 days later, sometimes a couple hours later, I found myself getting back in the same thing again. Now, I thought that this was something that was going to go away with probably getting married, but I didn't know that I had gotten to the point where it was almost an addiction to me. So getting married didn't take it away, because I didn't need to feel aroused to engage in masturbation anymore. It became like a fix that I wanted, which is something that's very dangerous. The sheer concept of addiction in the first place is a no-no, because we're not designed to be enslaved by anything at all, be it masturbation or smoking or drinking or fornication or even drugs, whatever. An addiction is an addiction, and we're not designed to be enslaved by anything. Many other addictions are social addictions, but masturbation or pornography many times are private addictions. And so these are personal struggles, and it's easier for these things to get a hold on us because no one else has seen you, no one else knows you're dealing with it. So it's something you can pretty much manage by yourself. Not really manage, but keep to yourself. And it gets deeper and deeper. You get deeper and deeper into it because no one out there, you're not accountable to anybody. No one out there is seeing you. Many times people who engage in these things are able to kind of like keep it to themselves. And that's the danger, number one danger. Because of its solitary nature, you get deeper and deeper into it. You don't even get to ask for help. And it eats you more and more until it eventually destroys you, like every other addiction. Good or bad, every addiction eventually destroys us because we're not designed to be enslaved, ruled, bondaged, or kept down by anything. We're designed to really rule and have dominion. So once anything is going contrary to our design, it really breaks us. So I'm not giving us room for logical arguments here right now. The simple fact is we're not designed to be enslaved. Simple. Anything that enslaves you, anything that holds you down and puts you in bondage is wrong. Period. Whatever it is. And masturbation and pornography does this easily. As a matter of fact, they're almost the easiest things for you to get addicted to. Not even actual fornication or sleeping around. No. Because those ones you have people who can easily tell on you at some time. But with this one, it's just you alone. And that's dangerous. Now, another thing that makes masturbation very destructive to us is that we no longer are able to appreciate people wholly for whom they are. Almost everyone becomes a sexual object to you, and you really don't care because right there where you are in the privacy of your room, in your mind, trying to have sex, to arouse yourself and eventually ejaculate, which is what masturbation really is all about. You conjure up these people that you've met maybe during the day, or these people you've seen in movies, and you conjure up the image and you're having sex with them in your mind, however it is you want to, and it arouses you till you eventually get ejaculate. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video? That of everything that makes up what we know as sex, your physicality is really one of the least on the table. Sex really isn't very physical, it is mental. I think at this point it's safe for me to say that masturbation actually is sex. It is just a different form of sex, a perversion of the real sex. Forget the name we call it masturbation, forget what we call it pornography. These are sex. These are perversions of the real sex because the way they occur is not so different from the way the actual sex occurs. Many times it's all in the mind. And that's why they tell you certain times that if you want to get a lady to have sex with you, if you're married, they tell you to begin to prepare the mind of your wife, from the beginning of the day. You're saying nice things to her, you're talking to her right. See, I've been married 6 years now. I understand that to enjoy sex with your wife, if you're married, you need a good mood and a good atmosphere. How does atmosphere and mood impact something that we think is physical? How does perception, how does mindset impact something that we think is totally physical? Because really, it isn't totally physical. Many times, it takes our whole being, not just our physical being, our spirit and soul, to really engage in sex. And that is what happens with masturbation and pornography. These things happen exclusively in our mind, in our spirit and soul. And we have physical expressions in terms of ejaculation for both men and women. And that is a perversion of the real thing that was designed. Again, these things go contrary to the original design that God had for us as people, And once anything goes contrary to original design, it becomes wrong. It's going to limit you, it's going to reduce you, and it's going to eventually destroy you. That's what masturbation does. One thing that happened, my personal experience, is that masturbation, like I said, you conjure up images of people in your mind, have sex with them in your mind, and eventually have a physical expression. And you find that you're unable to get fully satisfied when you get married from real physical sexual intercourse with your partner, because you become addicted to another form of sex, a perversion. And that's what the enemy does, because you now want to get satisfied in the way that you've always been used to. And something physical can't satisfy you, because your partner really can measure up with your other partners. Your physical partner who you get married to can measure up with your mental sexual partners, because the partners that you have in your mind, your virtual partners, you make them do whatever it is you want them to do in your mind. And the truth be told, if you ever have sex with people physically that you have images with when you get to masturbate, they might never be able to do the things you fantasize about, because it's only a perversion, it's a deception, it's a mirage. They can't. Even when you engage in pornography, many of the things that you get to see. Now, I have studied this thing big time. I've listened to a lot of interviews. I have talked to people who engaged in pornographic acts, and I understand now how all of those things work. It's all scripted. It's all like a movie production. They tell them exactly what to do. It's all staged. When you eventually come to meet your physical actor partner, you can't, or she can't, or he can't do all of those things that you get to see. And those things are the things that are in your mind, because those are the things that have aroused you and have helped you get a physical release from sexual activities in your mind. Now, when you have a real sexual activity, you can't get as satisfied as you're already used to or addicted to. That's terrible. And you have a whole lot of relationships breaking up. They tell you that relationships are breaking up because of sex, maybe an unfaithful partner, or sometimes one partner thinks the other is not very good enough. Let me tell you something. Everybody can be good at sex. You don't need pornography or anything to really teach you about sex. You might need guidance here and there, now and then, but this is instinctive. Everyone can be. So if you're out there and you're thinking that your wife isn't good enough for you, or your husband isn't good enough for you, I want you to know that you can both enjoy sex very, very well. I can't talk about it right now because my video doesn't have restrictions, and I know that different people, different marital status, different age groups get to listen to this. So I'm going to try to stay as clean as possible. But if you hit me up, I could, or my wife could, if you want to talk to a lady as a lady, let you know exactly how it is you can enjoy sex together as a couple if you're married. And even if I can't answer your question, I could lead you or link you up to people who can, give you insight and help you, because I don't think I know it all. I'm just trying to help you based on what I know and have learned. So if you're single or coding and there's something you engage in and you get out of it and you're asking God to forgive you, He will forgive you, which is something I held onto at the time. I'm like, well, God's going to forgive me anyways. But I didn't know that it was going to really limit me from being all that I really wanted to be, all that I was born to be. And that's one thing that it does to you. So this stretches beyond, is God going to forgive me or not? This stretches beyond, am I going to go to heaven or hell? This is more about, are you ever going to live to be the best that you were called or born to be? Are you going to live whole? Because the whole idea is to limit you from encountering your total or full potential. Really, it's so funny, but these things limit you. You begin to live less of your full potential by simply engaging and indulging in masturbation and even pornography. You see, because you can't relate to people who could have been a potential business partner, who could have been a potential help. So you can't relate to them effectively anymore, because almost everything becomes sexual in your mind. That's one. Also, it kind of like delays you. I can't relate to every time whenever I got into masturbation and came out of it, my relationship with God was kind of like frayed. He was kind of far from me. I didn't want to talk to him because I felt dirty. So imagine what that distance for a couple of days or even weeks was going to do to me or my relationship to God, whom I was supposed to hold on to help me to be everything that I was born to be. That distance is what the enemy is really after, not necessarily the act, which is what many times we focus on. It's not really in the act. What happens afterwards? Who do you become afterwards? What does that act turn you into? So if you focus on, is masturbation good or bad, you're going to miss the boss. You're going to miss the real thing or the real question. I don't care about masturbation so much. I don't support it. I'm not into it. I'm not asking you to continue in it, but I don't care so much about it. I care about you. I care about what it's going to do to you. I care about how it stops you. I care about how it creates a wall around you. I care about how it doesn't make you enjoy the fullness and the wholeness of life. How you can't really be free to do things that you're supposed to do and relate with everyone wholly for whom they are, and not for what you are eventually going to conjure them up to be in your mind. And you might think that this is something that you get to do once in a while, but it's something that you're easily going to get addicted to. It's the easiest and the fastest addiction in history, because it is an addiction that occurs in our solitary time. That's what I care about. And I really want you to be the best. I mean, since I began the work to get out of it and eventually got out of it, I mean, I can't tell you what being whole and relating with people wholly really feels like. It's like being the best of everything you really want to be. It's like having a burden get out of your life. It's like a big weight you've been carrying that you just need to let go of. And you can't do it by yourself. One of the things that this video is going to do is shed light on it, because I know that this understanding is really going to help you. I know many of us need to know why. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 5 verse 28, he said, "But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." So what Jesus did was to put a physical activity of adultery on the same level with a mental activity of adultery. And that's why I can boldly tell you that sex, as we know it, physical intercourse, is the same thing as sex, masturbation, pornography. So how do you get out of it? How do you help people? The first thing I wanted to do is to give you a good why, because knowledge empowers. Now you know why. Now you know what the plan is to limit you, keep you, steal from you, probably destroy you. Now you're going to have a lot more will to work against it. And one of the things you want to do is what I call a counter activity. Now, I said earlier that one of the things that masturbation did to me was that I was away from God many times until I felt clean again or pure again. Then I wanted to talk back to God. Even though I had prayed and I believed He had forgiven me, I still didn't feel very confident speaking to Him in His presence. It took me a while to eventually come back. So there was a moment of separation. There always is moments of separation after every act of masturbation, no matter how many times you do it in a day. Separation from you and God. So I understood masturbation makes me tolerate what Jesus could not tolerate, going to the cross. So I said, okay, there had to be something wrong about this. So I had to do what I call counterproductivity. I decided to work on my relationship with God. I didn't really think about sex because I understood that wasn't what the devil was after. He wasn't after me just, ejaculating here and there or having all this kind of sex in my mind. He was really about limiting me and eventually destroying me and keeping me as far away from God as possible. So all I did was to counter that and begin to walk toward God. I didn't even care about the sex, as it were. I just worked on my relationship, my closeness with God. And the higher I went, the deeper I walked with Him, the easier it was for me not to have the urge to eventually masturbate, because that was going to take me far away from God and I didn't want that distance. So I want to encourage you to develop your walk with God. Deepen it, not because you want to kill masturbation, but deepen it just for the sheer love of it. And there, that appetite for God will kill or reduce an appetite for masturbation, pornography, or any kind of addiction that you find yourself into. Now, while you deepen your walk with God, you also want to create physical boundaries for yourself. If you know the things that lure you easily into masturbation. The movies, the shows, the magazines, whatever it is, you want to keep away from them while you develop your willpower and kill the appetite for that by replacing it or deepening your appetite in with God as you develop your walk with God. Because if I tell you to try to stay away from everything that is sexually provocative around you physically, I'm kind of like telling you not to live life at all, because that's like the whole world around you right now. But now I see people wholly, and I understand that certain people dress the way that they do, not because they're trying to be sexually provocative to me or anybody for the matter, but maybe they're just too hot. Maybe that's all they know. Maybe that's all that they found in the mall when they're going to buy clothes. Now, I know some people are very excessive and quite obscene with their dressing, but I don't want you thinking that people or Hollywood or your society or the world today is your problem. No, it's going to be wrong for you to think that way. I want you to work on you. I want you to develop yourself, whereby the things that happen around you, the people around you, no longer impacts what you eventually get to do or what you feel on the inside of you. Now that's the real victory. So right now I don't care, about people. I'm able to see them holy. I'm able to excuse those who are obscene. I'm able to ignore them. I'm able to stay away from what I want to stay away from, and just be me. That's the wholeness I'm talking about. That's the fullness I'm talking about in your life. So you get there, but at the onset, like I said, create all those boundaries around you and stay away from these things, what we got. So I really hope I've been able to do these three things for you. One, give you good knowledge and exposure into what's going on behind the scenes as far as masturbation, pornography, and these forms of perverted sex is concerned. What the devil is really after, what God also really is after. I've been able to tell you why you really should not continue in them. And whether you're single or married, you should desist from them. And I'll also be able to tell you how to be counterproductive to what the enemy is trying to achieve in your life by deepening your walk with God. Walk with Him, increase your appetite for Him, and that's going to replace or kill the appetite you're having with masturbation. Now, I know the churches today have made walking with God kind of like spooky, but no, I'm talking about a regular, active walk with God in your everyday life. I really want to be able to talk about this some point, because our walk with God shouldn't be spooky. It's just real. It's fun. It's interesting. It should be vivacious. It's very relevant. I mean, like, it's for real. It's good stuff. I promise you. I hope I'm going to be able to have time to talk about it. But yeah, find a good church around you and just develop your walk with God. So I'm going to say. And three, I hope I've been able to tell you how that you should stay away from things around you, especially the nonsense, or limit your accessibility to things that easily sexually, or even people or conversations or friends that easily sexually arouse you. Stay away from them until you're able to develop yourself to the point where they're no longer impacting. Then you can begin to allow these things come around you, because really our mission field is out there in the world. We need to engage people, mingle with people, and be strong enough not to let them influence us, but we be the influence on them. But to get there, build yourself. I hope these three things are really going to help you. I believe them. I know some people like fancy stuff and you're waiting for 7 things, or you think that something that's deep should have some more theological or spiritual or deep solutions. I'm sorry. These are the things I've tried, I've done, they've worked for me, it works for a lot of people. I've seen it in the Bible how that it works. I understand that this is what's going to work. And before you start looking for 7 things, try these 3 things first. Just do what you have to do. And I really believe that you're going to see yourself becoming the best that you really want to become. If you have comments, you have questions, if you're not clear about certain things, leave me a comment. I read all the comments. And I still have a day job, so sometimes it takes me a minute to respond, but I will go through them and I will respond to your comments. And the ones I don't have answers for, I'm going to be 100% with you. I'm just going to let you know I don't know what to say, and probably point you to someone, because I think I have a whole lot of resources. Point you to some of the people who can help you out. And I might be able to share a thing or two that I can't share in a very public video right now with you. So yeah, Thank you so much. Big shout out to my wife. She's encouraged me. She's pushed me to do, supported me in doing this. And I really want to appreciate and celebrate her strength. Big shout out to her. Big shout out to Lecrae Unashamed 116. Thank you for this t-shirt. I'm not saying I ran this video by Lecrae or he told me to go ahead and do it. No, I'm just saying that his t-shirt is what I wore, and yeah, I like the guy. Anyways, and thank you for listening. I know it's been a lengthy video, but I had to say all I had to say just so I could help you and also help me to reach our fullest wholeness and big potential. It's a boy Henry, and I'll see you on the other side again, talking to you about health and wellness, which also is going to help you be whole and all that you're born to be. Thank you guys. I love you, and I'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.